You ever have those moments when you feel completely torn, between your duty to the world and your own spiritual path? Or maybe you've had this experience. You're totally committed to a goal, but your mind just refuses to cooperate. It's frustrating, right? Well, today we're going to dive into the incredible wisdom of the spiritual teacher Shri Hit Premanand Govind Sharan Maharaj to get some real clarity on these very questions.
So, we're going to tackle this in 4 parts. First, we'll look at our duties out in the world. Then, we'll turn inward to that battle with the mind. After that, we'll get into the actual toolkit for mastering it all. And finally, we'll talk about the ultimate goal of this entire journey.
All right, let's jump right in with a big one. It's a conflict I think we've all felt at some point. What are you supposed to do when you're faced with injustice or real adversity out in the world?
Yeah, this is that classic dilemma, isn't it? Action versus acceptance. When do you fight back and when do you just let it go? And what's so fascinating here is that there is no single, simple answer. It actually all comes down to the kind of life path you're on.
And this is where we get a really important distinction between 2 different paths. On one hand, you have the renunciant's path. Think of a monk, someone who has completely stepped away from worldly life. For them, the rule is absolute tolerance. I mean, you have to forgive everyone, even someone who's actively harming you. But for a householder, someone like you and me living and working in the world, the rules are totally different. You're supposed to tolerate personal insults, sure, but when it comes to protecting others, that's a sacred duty. So what this means is, if you're living in society, your tolerance has limits. It has to. When it's your family, your core principles, your nation, or anyone who's vulnerable being threatened, standing by and doing nothing isn't spiritual. It's actually a failure of your duty. In those moments, you're not just allowed to act, you have to.
Okay, so that covers our duty in the external world. Now, let's shift gears and turn inward to what might just be the toughest battlefield of all, our own wandering mind.
And I think anyone who's ever tried to build a new habit or stick to a discipline knows this feeling all too well. You know exactly what you're supposed to be doing, you're all in, and yet your mind just wanders off somewhere else. It's like there's this constant internal tug of war. And it turns out there's a very specific reason for it.
See, the culprit here isn't that you have a weak will. It's this concept called purvabhyas. The best way to think about it is like deep, ancient programming. It's the mental muscle memory built up over countless lifetimes, where the mind has been trained again and again to look for pleasure in the outside world. And that habit, it's incredibly powerful. It just keeps pulling you back to what's familiar.
And that's the key takeaway right there. So your spiritual practice, whatever it may be, isn't just about adding something new. It's an act of overwriting old code. You're literally creating new neural pathways, new divine habits, to replace the old worldly ones.
And here's the crazy thing about why these old habits have such a grip on us. The happiness they promise is mostly an illusion. The table shows it perfectly. The real high, the intense feeling of pleasure, comes from the anticipation, the thinking about it, the wanting it. The actual experience, it's almost always fleeting, and a lot of the time, kind of disappointing.
This next point just nails it. Think about this for a second. A man is told he's going to be hanged tomorrow. Now, if you offer him the most amazing feast, the best entertainment, is he going to enjoy any of it? No way. Why? The food is the same, the entertainment is the same. What's changed is his mind. His focus has shifted so dramatically that all those things that used to seem so tempting have lost all their power.
Okay, so we get it. We have duties outside, and we have this major battle going on inside. So what's the game plan? Let's get into the spiritual toolkit, the practical stuff we can actually use to start mastering this.
So a core idea here is that our minds are always under the influence of 3 basic qualities, or gunas. Think of them like different energies or modes that can take over. You've got tamas, which is all about ignorance, laziness, and anger. Then there's rajas, which is that fiery energy of passion and desire. And then you have sattva, which is goodness and harmony. But even that one can be a trap, because it can lead to pride in how good you are. So how do you get past these things? Well, the process is actually pretty simple, though it's not always easy. Step 1, just recognize what's happening. Oh, okay, that's tamas making me feel angry right now. Step 2, you hold on to your spiritual practice for dear life. You don't let go of it. And step 3, you just don't act on the impulse. You see it, you feel it, but you choose not to let it drive your action.
And that practice itself is built on 3 key pillars. First, and this is the big one, is nam jap, the consistent, steady chanting of a divine name. This is your #1 weapon for reprogramming the mind. Second is satsang, which means surrounding yourself with other spiritual people. And third is a sattvic lifestyle, basically eating pure food and being in a peaceful environment that helps calm your mind.
All right, so we've got our duties, we've got our toolkit for the inner work, but what's the point of it all? Where is all this effort leading? Now we're going to connect these daily practices to, well, the final journey.
There's this incredibly profound principle that says, anta mati sogati. It means whatever your state of mind is at the very moment of death, that determines your soul's next destination. Yeah, your final thought literally charts your course for what comes next.
Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds kind of terrifying. Does that really mean a whole lifetime of spiritual effort could be totally wiped out by one stray, random thought at the very end? Or that someone who lived a terrible life could get a free pass just by having one lucky thought? Well, thankfully, the answer is a very clear no. That final thought isn't random, it's not a lottery ticket, it is the grand total, the final result of a lifetime of practice and habits. Think of it like the final exam, but the grade is based on all the homework you did the entire semester. It's the natural endpoint of the direction you've been heading your whole life.
So how do you make sure that end is a good one? Well, part of it is your own lifelong effort. But, and this is so important, it's not just about your effort. Grace plays a huge role. That could be divine intervention, where God himself inspires the right thought. It could be the grace of a saint stepping in. Or it could even be the grace of your environment, like passing away in a holy place or while hearing sacred chanting. So, what's the big takeaway from all of this? It's that everything you do matters. Every choice you make, every moment you spend in your practice, it isn't just about having a better Tuesday. It's a preparation. It's a deposit you're making in a spiritual bank account for that one, final, all-important moment. You are literally building your ultimate future with every single action you take today.
And that really leaves us with one powerful final question to reflect on. As you go about the rest of your day, just ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now, this thought I'm having, this action I'm taking, is it preparing my mind for its most important moment?